So she's in the grocery store. She's grocery shopping with her husband, and they've had a little bit of a tiff. There's some tension between her and her husband, okay?
Her husband's name is?
Her husband's name is Manny. Thank you. I stopped in front of the large bin of green English cucumbers at the end of the aisle. Was it just me, or did everyone see that they looked like large green dildos wrapped in cellophane condoms? I plucked a long cucumber from the bunch of and began to stroke the length of it with my hands. It was so firm, so much denser than the tomato. I caressed the length of it in my hands as a long-forgotten memory came rushing back to me. It was my first trip away from home. My mother had deemed it worthwhile because it was organized by the Desi community. I was 16 years old and joining several of my cousins and a few kids from school for a weekend multicultural camp and workshop. We were supposed to be discussing how culture made an impact on us as developing sons and daughters of immigrants. Instead, most of the kids spent their time sneaking alcohol into the water canteens and cavorting in the bushes at night when our trusting chaperones were long asleep. I hid in my dingy bed in the tiny log cabin I was sharing with my cousin when she was called out by the other kids to join them by the lake. She pleaded with me to come, but I decided against going. Moments after she left, sitting alone in the smelly cabin, I decided I did want to join them after all and raced into the dark hoping to find her. I ran into Amrish Gupta halfway to the lake. He emerged from behind a tree clutching his pants. "Lee," he said, waving his arms in the air, "come over here. I want to show you something." I could barely make him out in the dark, his tan skin blending seamlessly into the night. "I'm looking for the others at the lake," I said cautiously, heading towards him. "I have something for you," he said as I drew nearer. He reached out for my hand and placed it in his. He slowly led me down to the crease of his jeans where he placed his fingers and gently squeezed them on his crotch. I wasn't sure what I was feeling at first. "It's okay," he said. "I put a cucumber in my pants." He laughed nervously, and I felt the large bulge move under the weight of my hand. I screamed and ran back to the cottage, barricading the door with 2 chairs and a desk. I moved my hands up and down the length of the cucumber, smiling at the thought that Amrish was now married with 2 children and living in Manitoba, successfully running a pizza franchise. I wondered if he ever thought about that dark night near the lake. "Do we need cucumbers?" "Oh, yes, we do," Manny said, grabbing the one from my hand, placing it in the basket and carefully crossing the item off his list. "Not that one," I said with a smile and handed him a different one. I didn't want to look into the fridge, the length of the green vegetable, and think of Amrish all week. Whatever. "Okay, I'm going to go and get some coriander for the chutney. You're making me samosas with your mother tomorrow night, right?" I nodded. Even the thought of spending an afternoon stuffing and sealing samosas with my mother didn't upset me. I silently wondered if I should wear my crotchless panties to her house as well. I might never take them off. "I want to make eggplant," I said as Manny picked up a bunch of green coriander and raised it to his nose, gently sucking a leaf in and out of his large nostrils. "Okay, you get it," he said absently. I walked briskly towards the beans, carrots, and seasonal vegetables, feeling the breeze between my legs as I spun on my heels around the edge of the bins. I slowly dragged my hands over the eggplants, feeling their tight skin against my fingertips. I picked up a large, dark purple one and thumped its bulbous end with my thumb, listening to the hollow echo underneath. I cradled its chubby end in my hands and held it up to my gaze. "You look like a fat eggplant in that suit," I could hear my mother saying to me as I walked into her house on our way to a wedding function earlier in the winter. It was the only suit I owned that still fit me and that I felt good in. She criticized the length of the top of my suit and the style of the pants, telling me that everyone would be mocking me if I showed up in it. I didn't care. I heard her and a few of the ladies she was sitting with say eggplant in Hindi several times behind my back at the ceremony. They weren't serving it at dinner, so I knew they were talking about me. "Lena?" I heard the accented voice of my aunt over my shoulder. "Jamma auntie," I said, bowing my head respectfully to her and putting down the eggplant to kiss her hand. "No need, yaar, for formalities. What you doing here?" "Grocery shopping," I said, trying to fight back the urge to be sarcastic. "Where is Manny? You pregnant yet?" "Which question do you want me to answer first?" I asked, the tongue inside my head. "You must be getting pregnant now, nah? It's really getting on late, yeah? Come now, okay? Don't eat this eggplant to get pregnant, okay? You eat bindi, it works. I eat bindi every day for 1 month and you got me pregnant. I get you some." "Oh," I said to her as she hurried away to pick up some fresh okra for me. "Here's the coriander," Manny said, placing a large bundle of the green herb into our basket. I could smell its fragrant perfume waft up gently towards my nose. triggering a memory of the first time Jenny came over to my house for dinner just before announcing her engagement to Johnny. We had been preparing a salad together, waiting for Manny and Johnny to join us after their hockey practice. I just love exotic spices, Jenny said, watching me, her eyes wide with excitement. I smiled and chopped up some coriander to put in salad. How traditional! Are you going to put coriander in the salad, Lena? Yes, I said slowly. Why? Is that a problem? No, it's just so exotic. I never do that, but I do the coriander. I eat masala chai, too. I don't put coriander in my tea, I said with a wry smile. I know. She had a gentle and sweet laugh that I suspected must have been the first thing Johnny fell in love with. I'm just saying how excited I am about the traditional food we're going to have. I guess you're making dosas and buttered chicken for dinner, right? I was actually going to serve a casserole. Coriander casserole? No, just vegetables and pasta. I'm only putting coriander in the salad. So what's a casserole? Is that like something I would make? Dinner that night was a torturous affair for me. My cheese and vegetable casserole failed to impress. And feeling the need to make the night more suitably exotic for Jenny, I pulled out our wedding pictures for them to see, despite Manny rolling his eyes and his hand gestures. Jenny gushed over the vibrant colors and foreign fabrics as I showed her photos of the different ceremonies and tried to explain their significance to her. Johnny lost interest as soon as the album came out, exiting the room with Manny to watch a hockey game in the basement, while Jenny and I made small talk over the pictures. Jumma Auntie plopped a large bag of okra into my basket and pinched my cheek, followed by a smarting slap against my face. You try this now. It will work for the baby, nah? Okay, bye, Manny. Good to see you, darling. You're such a good boy. I'm craving my veggie casserole, I said to Manny as Jumma Auntie plodded off towards the cash registers. I want to put the fake meat in it, though. I spied the refrigerated salad section nearby and walked legs further apart than necessary towards the packaged foods and gourmet cheeses. The cooler, as though it knew I was wearing crotchless panties, greeted me with a crisp breeze emanating from the wire grates at its base. I instinctively spread my legs a bit wider and pushed my hips backward to angle the breeze straight up my skirt. Manny backed up. I bent myself into the cooler to survey the array of tofu-based products, unable to focus on anything directly except for the coolness coming from the vents. I accidentally picked up products and put them back, imagining how sultry and seductive I must look to anyone walking by. I felt so good, so sexy. I thought I must look just like a runway model posing over the cooler in an ad for veggie meat. I caught a glimpse of myself in the side glass of the cabinet. I looked like I had rickets. Did you hurt yourself on the chair this morning? Manny asked as he picked up the same package I put down. No. Why are you standing like that then? Does your back hurt? I want to buy these tofu sausages, I said matter-of-factly, my smile more playful and mischievous than my words. Manny rolled his eyes and put the package into our cart, added the item to his list, and then crossed it off. I need more cold stuff. The cold stuff is good. I'm going to the freezer section. Not yet, Lee, Manny said in a snapping tone. I have to get this other stuff first. We'll get there in time. That's last on the list. I didn't think I could wait. Walking away from the cooler, I felt myself long for the refreshing feeling as soon as it was gone. I watched Manny meticulously mark things off his list, from noodles to tea bags, growing more and more anxious with every item he put in the cart. I commandeered control of the buggy so that I could walk with my legs slightly apart, leaning against the top rail, feeling the swish of air all around me. Are you sure you didn't hurt your back? Manny said as we rounded the bread section where the freezers were finally in sight. Not at all. We need French fries, I said in a voice louder than I intended. Geez, Lee, if you wanted to get all that stuff, why didn't you tell me about it on Wednesday when we wrote the list? I think I have a coupon for some. Hold on. Manny fished in the pocket of his summer coat to take out the weekly flyer. He nodded and smiled as he ripped out a 50-cent coupon for wedge fries, placing it gingerly in his wallet between the others he had already collected. I resisted the urge to run full tilt through the aisle towards the frozen food section. Seeing no one around me in several of the cooler doors, I broke free from Manny, who was squeezing buns for sandwiches, and headed straight to the glass cabinets, all in a row. I pulled the door open so forcefully that the cold air from the compressor behind the frozen goods made a hissing sound and blasted a snap of frosty air that wafted over me like an icy wave. I felt my nipples instantly pop erect, the impulse to squeeze my legs together immediate and overwhelming. Instead, I pulled my skirt up a bit to let the frozen air find its way up my legs towards the bald and goose pimply body. why hadn't I bought these panties in every color?